Hello, Bridget. This is the personal feedback for you. I'm going to use the setting. This here is your document, and I'm going to be writing in this document over here because this will be an oral, and I'm not going to send to you this document. I'm not bridging any rules. It's like an oral feedback, as if I was seeing you. If I was filling all these notes up here, that would be my process, my changes. I will be taking over in your editing. Now all the notes I can write here. Please use them, but still in your disposal. It's your choice if you're going to use them. Comment number 1 is that you need to make the changes suggested to the video for the proposal. So make changes suggested in proposal video. It's huge, as I understand. For example, this one. This one here is a problem because it indicates that we don't understand the difference between questionnaires and Likert scale. Questionnaire is a format of data collection. Okay, I ask questions, a multiple choice questionnaire, and you answer. That's a data collection. Likert scale is a method of data analyzing, because I'm going to, in your question number 1, I'm going to give 2 marks. And then your question number 2, I'm going to give 3 marks. And I add them, and then when I add them, I'm going to find the means or find the percentages. Okay, so the questionnaire is data collection method, whereas the Likert scale is data analysis and interpreting method. I don't want you to mix them up. If you write questionnaires in a Likert scale format, that's a different thing. Finish this, you have to make the changes suggested in the proposal video. As we said, it can be individual or it can be private because that's a part of the feedback. Okay, I can verify that the common work was done there. Let's go now and see what happens in here. Your hypothesis is that the firstborn is more assertive. No. I'm going to watch this in the beginning in conjunction to the guidance. I have given you the class some guidance, some questionnaires I would like you to follow, and these were the ones taken by the book and the Psychology Teachers Association. It is the best guidance. Okay, those who write the books belong to the marking. It's okay to use that. These are your guidance, that's your tick box. So you have ticked this, state the focus of the investigation, but I want the wow. I'm missing the wow. And the wow would be something that you refer to the further reading. So it says here, the focus of this investigation to explore for the purpose firstborn were hypothesized. This is not the focus question. Yes, this compartment here, I would have it in a different paragraph like this, because that is how the study is conducted. Okay, so this is the how the study is conducted. And that would go with the next one. I would have it like this. And the other one is the research question, the hypothesis, and how the data will be used. So from here, I'm missing some stuff, so I don't know your hypothesis. I want you to remember that the major problem in the way this is written is because you forget that the proposal is common and it won't be assessed. All this nice information you have written in the proposal, it won't be assessed here. Okay? So you need somehow to repeat them. I will pause just a moment the video to bring up the other document I want to show you, and I will come back. I am continuing. I brought up onto the screen the document I gave you as an example of investigation. The one that's annotated is the one that's on the Google Docs. If you go into the investigation, you can find it there. You see it is this document I downloaded from the website, and there I want you to see this. It says a type of responses, yep, hypothesis, and in the introduction, please follow this. It has again a big component of how the data were collected. You see this part? It's very important, and this is how the data will be collected. It's not a mistake. It will be perfect because you mention it here, but that's a common document. Nobody's using that. So I wanted some background information and guidance. Use this. And also, this is a B plus document. This here is a B plus. I told you that it's a best example, and what's wrong, it's this. If that was okay, there would be an A plus. Their problem here is that this is minimizing what they say that they will do here, and it's not corresponding. That's the mistake. Otherwise, it's an A. So what are the components that make the A? I want a little bit of here. Some of this. Something that tells me that you have done some research. Okay. But that will connect to yours. And then I want a big analysis like this. So in here, say what we have mentioned in this document, in this proposal. All the suggestions I ask you to do in this common proposal, please use them there, rephrase them, and use them properly. Okay. So, in your introduction, this is the comment number 2. What comments I would like you to do in the introduction. So in the intro, I would like you to, number 1, I would like you to find in a few words, like 50, research about firstborn assertiveness. Okay? There is a trick here. You found in your intro about the firstborn assertiveness. You referenced to it. 50 words. And then the most important thing is that you assume that that will be the case. And then in the intro, you present the way your data were collected. Data collected and research, design, and how the data will be analyzed. So what I want here, I want whatever we wrote in the proposal, very tight, very squeezed. Don't write English. Use the words wisely. So data, an experimental design was used with manipulating the IV variable of people watching the video. The data were collected by from true groups randomly allocated, blah blah blah. Whatever you said in the video, again here. You don't mention method, you don't mention anything, and you're right, but you need to mention all this. Follow the example, please, as a guidance. It's not copying because it is the discussion different. The methodology is different. The numbers of the students are different. Your findings are different. Your mean scores are different. They do, in the example, they do quantitative observation. You do quantitative experimental. It's not copying. Change necessary. That means thinking. Okay, comparing and contrasting. Also, in the introduction, I want you to mention your hypothesis. Use that example, Bridget, please. Okay. The same here. The data, wrong expression. Data is plural. So data where. Or I would like present tense because it's your introduction to your research. Data are displayed as a column graph comparing first and last born within, not an experiment. You don't compare experiment within experimental and control groups, and you compare the first and last born what level of assertiveness. Okay, comparing first and last borns mean score of assertiveness in within the experimental and control groups, within the experimental control groups, in both behavior and cognitive questionnaires. That's what you're doing. Please go back and listen to this and see what I'm saying. You display a column graph comparing the first and last born's mean score of assertiveness within the experiment, across, even better, across the experimental and control group with regards to both behavior and cognitive questionnaire. A table is also used, included. I don't want that, and I will explain you why I don't want that. So this is the last part of the hypothesis. Delete the details in the for the table, referencing to the table. Let me tell you why I don't want the table. The instruction about your data, how you analyze your data and your graphing, says raw data is not required. Okay, raw data is not required. A table should not show the same information as a graph because it's repeated information. That means you don't know what to do. But I like what I saw you doing in the table. So my idea is this. I'm sorry, I'm mixing students. I'm sorry. Somebody else has done tables. In here they did tables, sorry. So you're referring within the table. Forget that. Forget that. Because you don't actually refer to a table. The table is part of the graph. It's the part of the choice you make. You could choose a different graph. Okay. Now, results. Great, the fact that the results and the discussion on the same page. Great. This is what I want. Also, mistake. I mentioned that to Claire. I have to mention that to you too. In this graph here, I'm going back here to write create chart. Results chart. What I need you to change in the chart. You don't check the level of assertiveness. The level of assertiveness is to go and say, on the cognitive, they scored 30 out of 45. You haven't done that. You are checking the mean scores. So here, this has to change. This has to change and have to write here mean scores. Mean scores. Assertiveness. Mean scores. And here, you do not compare the level of assertiveness in firstborn compared to the lastborn only. We say in here that the labels have to correct label correctly and specify units of measurement, and you have to also refer to what it is. Graphs need to have a description, not interpreting. Okay, so you really need to show the mean scores and interpret that. Mean hours of sleep across each age group. You see, they describe what's happening here. So you need to describe what's happening there. So what's happening there? What should be your title? I'm going to write here the title of chart. This would be something like mean scores or assertiveness. Mean scores of first versus last born. Okay, across whatever I made a change there. Across experiment and control group. Okay, in you can change it. Assertiveness. Okay, I'll change it and I'll do something like behavior and cognitive assertiveness mean scores. So behavioral, and cognitive. So you write behavioral and cognitive assertiveness mean scores of first and last born across experiment and control group. That's what you saw. Okay. And now when so this here has to be this, becomes this. Okay, and in here, that's correct, you have to say figure 1 shows assertiveness levels. You see, you are repeating this, and here they're repeating. No, that's what it's doing. Shows comparison scores. Yes, compared. So I'm going to write the figure. I'm writing here what I would like you to write in the figure. Figure 1 shows compared mean scores of the way, okay, participants behave as no, so it's compared mean scores of the behavioral and cognitive assertiveness demonstrated by participants in the experiment and control group. Participants means firstborn, and then I want you to tell me what also it shows. Some interpretation. An interpretation is that you consistently I'll keep it later because but you can mention it here. Consistently, what is apparent is that the firstborns demonstrate lower assertiveness. Okay, so your hypothesis. So you say that your hypotheses are not supported, but you just present it. Now, what I want us to understand is that your discussion is great. Okay. I need to make some changes though. And we have to be very articulated in this, so we don't spend all our words in here. Okay, so we finish with that. So the previous one was the number 3, which corresponds with this number 3, results chart and figure. And now I'm going the discussion will be number 4. And I think I need to enter a page here. Okay, the data collected does not support the hypothesis. Note, data plural, do not support the hypothesis. Data show that the last-born children scored higher on a certain levels than the first-born. Great. Another inference from the data collected is that the experimental group scored higher than the control group in assertiveness. Yes? Yes. In assertiveness, both in behavior and cognitive. In the behavior and cognitive questionnaires. Which means what? For your independent variable. Remember, the experiment group had independent variable. So what means that? That's a very important thing you have to mention right from the beginning. So which means here that I'm continuing from here, so I'm going over here. I can't use it across. This I'll learn. This means that the manipulation of the IV video of assertiveness watched, yes, had some impact. Be careful, I need you to come back on this because it's very important. Bridget, it appears in some things. In some things, the independent variable didn't have any difference. I'll go back to this chart and I'm going to discuss it then. I want you to fix it according to this. Okay. Let me find some pages here. I'm not going to send this to you, it doesn't matter to you. I need to find some space. I'm downloading and I'm going to write again the discussion component I'm entering. Okay, discussion. Be careful on this. You need to discuss number one, this. Number two, this. What I mean, I want you to tell me what's your finding for the firstborn within this. Okay, and then for the within here, and then for the firstborn within the experiment. Just mention it and find the differences. Here, what you see, 31.8 and 32 has no difference between the control group and the experiment group in the cognition. Remember? You said the experiment group is consistently higher. It's not. There's not statistically difference here. Yeah? It's 0.2. It has to be more than 0.4. But here in the behavior, there is a difference. Okay? Those who watch the video, they now know that their behavior, all of them knew that they were assertive somehow. But now they know that their behavior, the way they act, is more assertive. That's why you have a difference between 34 and 36. And this is what I want you to mention there. Okay? Then I want you to control 3, to discuss 3, the same what happens within this group. So you compare, this is your 3, and this is your 4. This. So I want you to tell me differences within this group of people, within. What happens in these two questionnaires, how they behave in these questionnaires, and then I want you to go and discuss the control with the control and the experiment with the experiment. Or I want you to discuss first what happens in total with this group. We're going to discuss it, we'll present it. Yeah? And what happens with this group, that will be your 5 and that will be your 6. And then I want you to discuss what happens with, let me change color, with this and that, and this and that. Okay? We will try to make it as compacted as we can. So let's start. I'm going to write the words, the numbers, and I want you to discuss it, because otherwise it's me writing this. Don't try to mumble it up. Use it in the way this sample tells you. Okay. Summarize related the main findings from the results section and comment on each graph, saying in words what the graph is demonstrating. Refer to the actual data. White noise group had mean hours of sleep 58 compared to this. This is what I want you. This is how I want you to write. Okay. Control group had this compared to the experiment group who had that. Okay. And then interpreting results means explain what the results mean. So we are going to write first the interpretation, the analysis, first the summary, the reference to actual data, and then analyze it. So what number 1 tells me? Number 1 tells me that in control group, control group, sorry, in control group for the firstborn, here, in the control group for the firstborn, the mean for cognitive questionnaire is 31.8 versus 34 for the behavior. Okay. Which means interpret straight. Which means what? These people are behaving more assertive. Okay. So they behave more assertive. Okay. In the experiment group, what happens? The cognitive score, mean score is 32 versus 36 to the behavior questionnaire score. Which is consistent with the previous finding. Consistent with the previous. Okay, that means they behave more assertive. Behave more assertive, that they know what assertiveness is. Yes? Okay, so you did 1 and 2 in here. Yep. The same pattern, okay, the same pattern of behaving more assertive than knowing what assertiveness is applies to the same pattern of behaving more assertive appears in the um, last bonds, both in the control group. Okay, and you say cognitive score 33.3 versus behavior score 35, and in the fourth. Okay, and now again the fourth you have to mention what it is there in the same pattern. And now I want you to tell me what you observe between here. You have told me that. Okay, if I go down here, okay, so you go across. Now you compare. Okay, what happens across? That's great. You compare 31.8 with 38. So you're missing the within. That's the within. This here is the within the samples. Only 2.2 separates the control and the experiment group. Closeness means close between the experiment and control participants. In this instance, the birth order is not significant. Okay, you can't say that. You can't say this. What you can say, I will let you to say that if you can assume, one can assume, but here you need to say that data are inconclusive. I need this word. Please mention that data are inconclusive because of the difference. The closeness mean scores between the experimental and control participants suggest you can't say that. Yes, inconclusive you can say because your sample is very small. So you can say the data are conclusive, and you can continue. The closeness mean scores between experiment control groups suggest in this instance that no, suggest, delete that. Say suggest that more data could allow better more informed more informed more informed analysis or interpretation. Yes, because here you have to say this keyword. They are inconclusive, or if you don't have enough words, delete these words. The mean scores of the behavior assertiveness in firstborn differs by 2, which means that's great. This part is great. And again, I want you to understand that what's important, you have to understand that many understood that because of the video. Yes? Or independent of the video. Indicates this assertiveness was associated with the birth order and not the experimental conditions, not the video. Great. Yes? Not the experimental conditions and the manipulation of the IV video watched, because both watch the video, yes, and this video didn't have any whatsoever impact in their cognition, yes, because the video didn't have impact on their cognition. The cognitive assertiveness means scores on the last born children shows a difference of 2.4 with the separation group or experimental group scoring 36, control group 33.3. The largest separation that's seen in the firstborn assertiveness condition indicates that being born last affects a person's cognitive assertiveness. Additionally, the separation shows the experimental treatment had an impact on a person's cognitive assertiveness, thus creating higher scores. I need the scores here. Tell me the scores. Yes, exactly, the scores. Behavior there. Now we need the scores. I think I'm too quick. You mentioned them, the difference in behavior. Scores in the firstborn, the largest numerical differences consistent with the past three comparisons. The experimental group 39 scored higher with control group great. The difference is the highest as yet seen, further support that the behavior assertiveness is most affected by birth order, as large difference in behavior assertiveness was also seen in the firstborn within. Okay. Great. Consistently, the experiment group scores higher than the control group. This suggests that the treatment had. I have a problem here. Let me go and check back the data because I'm not sure if this applies. You said that consistently those who consistently the experiment group has higher scores. But what about this? Oh yes, you're right. Consistently the experiment has higher scores. Even here it is higher. Not significantly, not statistically, but it's higher. So to make it safe, mention this. Probably with a small exception, probably with the exceptions of the inconclusive data in the cognitive so here I would write both treatment had the effect on behavior assertiveness scores, and in cognitive with an exception of the inconclusive data of the firstborn cognitive questionnaires. Still higher, but inconclusive. Now, I know that this is your draft, and the remainder has to discuss the sample size, when we discuss the sample size, this is a discussion of sample size. Okay, when we discuss the sample size, look at this, what I asked you to do. I asked you to mention sample size like age, gender, cultural anomalies, random population, or whole population, appropriate of the sample, suggest improvements of the sample. So really, don't mention here, don't mix here the subjective self-reports and social desirability. Mention here that this sample was somehow biased. Okay, so this is what I want you to say, because it was not the whole population of Glenalga. It was not all randomly allocated. It was those who attend psychology classes, and where they know through personality, through other content what assertiveness is, or they demonstrate more interest. Also, they are not age appropriate, because it covers only this age. Gender inequity applies there. I want you to mention the gender inequity, because it is most unequal, more girls than boys. What else? So that's the 5 comment you have to make. What else? You have to tell me that it's not cultural representative. You don't have any Africans. You don't have many Asians. Uh, Asian and assertiveness, Asian culture and assertiveness is not compatible. They are humble. They have to comply with the group. If you have more Asian people in there, probably your assertiveness would be less. The mean score would be less, because they wouldn't demonstrate assertiveness. It's not good for them. Suggest improvements to the sample. So have more people participate in this for the purposes of this investigation. So you mentioned this bias. Oh, I'm an idiot, because I saw the paragraph and I thought it was something else. So please, in here, take this back, is back of the 5. So I want no paragraph here. They have to continue there. Great. So all this is a sample. Fix the words. Yes, make it more great. Now identify strengths and weaknesses, participants, variables, experience variables that come into participants testing. Great. Okay, and then strengths and weaknesses. Great. You have to use this. I know you can do that. Okay, one way of compact is to decrease the sample size. Okay. And more weaknesses from here. Make sure, yes, delays in gathering data. We had that, yes. But don't put the theory. Make it specific to your data. I have a problem with this. No ethical were breached. And I want you to discuss external and internal validity in more detail, but in reliability, therefore the reliability. So suggest a variety of improvements to the research design. That's very important if you can do that. How we can make the research design more reliable, collect data across and have, for example, because all the schools doing that, you can have all the schools who doing assertiveness to compile their data and have a huge database of, let's say, 2,000 participants, and extract data from there. Yeah, or you create a huge database and refer your data, the findings of your data every time to the database says, and see if you comply or not. Now, the ethical, I'm going about the ethics. I want you to refer to this. Um, Informed consent, yes, but it was fake. Voluntary participation, how voluntarily can you participate if you have to do it? If you say, now guys, we have to do this research. What was your right to withdraw? Could you withdraw? No. You couldn't have a mark. So you have to mention this, the accurate reporting, confidentiality, how confidential can be if you identify yourself there and say, oh, I did that. Uh, of course, we manage not to put harm to any student. Okay, we didn't harm anyone. Um, that's great. All of this is great. So I'm happy with this. A little bit in this discussion, and you're done. I want you to understand that I didn't. Yeah, you have were not harm all participants. Oh, now you have it here. Um, so I have an issue. We're not coerced. Or. Did you have the right to withdraw? No. Okay. So no names were used. We tried to maintain anonymity. The teacher collected the data to have this anonymity maintained. That could be. Sorry, I'm taking back the comments from there. You're referring this. Yes. Put that there. Put it there. That's extraneous variable. Extraneous variable that could interfere with your data collection. So this one can go back to um, the weaknesses. You can put it because it's extraneous variable. Yes, a situation of the experiment. So you can mention it in here. Participants situation. So it made you upset. Mention that there. Take it into the variables, into weaknesses. Great. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up, upload it. It's an hour. I'm sorry about this, but I know that definitely I couldn't have this hour with you at school, and I know that I definitely couldn't write all this in a paper. But now out of this, I don't have anything to do with what you pick up and make it better. Some people will take the opportunity, some not. And nobody will judge us. Thank you, love.